J. Ballantyne and Co Limited, represented by Mr. Philip Richards. Welcome.
Thank you. Mayor Dalzell, and I hope you have that right, councillors.
I know. It's this it's the Madam Mayor thing that I just,
I know. I asked outside. First, let me say how grateful we are for everything that the council, the government and private enterprise is doing in the inner city. The result has the potential to be a very attractive and vibrant city centre, and much more so, dare I say it, than if we hadn't had the earthquakes. And we also understand the difficult position the council is in, and that we can't expect it to do everything we'd like to be done, and that some things we would like can't be done. And today the only point we'd like to talk about is access, and in particular with reference to modal shift. We support the idea of modal shift for people coming into the inner city. This is the inner city being a much better place if people walked, cycled or bussed. But we're concerned about the implicit strategy of restricting the availability of parking in order to achieve this. And this strategy has been evident to us in conversations over time with various people, and it's illustrated in the long-term plan. For example, in the Parking Activity Management Plan, dated 3rd of December, page 13. And what that identifies is the risks around parking. And the first risk is that parking provision is inadequate, unsafe or inaccessible. And the analysis says that if the parking provision is inadequate, there will be a high business impact because businesses will become untenable because customers cannot easily get to them. The second risk that's identified is that parking supply is too high and therefore inefficient and doesn't encourage the use of other modes to get to the city. Now that's identified as having a high impact, but also having a high probability, and that people choose to take a car because the parking is available. And then the third risk is that parking is poorly utilised, high impact, again, high probability. Now that strikes us as odd. A parking audit conducted in May 2010 identified there were 1,291 visitor car parks within the CBD. And by the way, earlier conversations failed to distinguish between short stay parking and long stay parking. We're talking short stay parking.
Yeah.
So these car parks were actually in the Litchfield Street parking building, the Crossing building and the Grand Chancellor car parks, 1,291. And they were servicing considerably less retail space than will open in around October 2016, and also far less commercial space. You know, the Justice Department alone is going to generate 900 visitors a day, and it's not providing any visitor car parking. At the moment, the Carter building is going to produce about 400 visitor car parks. Anthony Goff is talking about providing 200, and he's gone, so I can dare to say this. I hope he delivers it on time, because he's a bit behind schedule. So we've got 400 car parks, visitor car parks, under construction. And before the earthquake, we had 1,291. Now, how on earth can you say that it's a high impact, high probability that parking supply is too much? It must be too little. And when the people who are looking at it look at it, they do their darndest to make it appear as little of a problem as possible. So we do urge you, when you're reading the reports that you get, to look very critically at the assumptions that are made and at the figures that you're presented with. It seems to us it could be a disaster. Now, as I say, we do support the idea of modal change. And I don't want to divert our conversation too far away from the main point which I've made, but it seems to us that if we could implement the inner city living program a good deal faster than is being done at the moment, that would actually bring about the modal change that we're seeking to achieve. The further away you live from the centre of Christchurch, the less attractive the alternative modes are. Riding a bicycle in from where I live on Hunsbury Hill is actually impossible. I get wobbly legs if I try and go up the hill. And obviously, if you try and walk in from Hornsville, that's a 2-hour walk for me. I walk in from Huntsbury, that's a 1-hour walk. Taking the bus isn't always terribly convenient, and I hate to say it, but this business of hubs and spokes isn't encouraging our staff to take the bus if they have to interchange. They don't like doing that. But
it's not working for me either because they changed my bus route. Well, I used to just drop me down the road at the end of the road. Now I've got to walk about 3 blocks.
Anyway, that's an interesting point, Mayor Dalzell, because some of the contingency parking plans will require you to walk 5 minutes to get to the mall, and we're worried about that too. Anyway, so getting the inner city living fast track would be something which would help achieve that modal shift and bring about a whole lot of other benefits too. For the council, it would be more efficient use of existing infrastructure, more people around the inner city for longer, creating vibrancy, increasing the sense of safety, and actually avoid the loss of ratepayers to the suburban counties. At the moment, people are leaving the city and going and living in Selwyn or Waimari, and they're not helping with the budget, are they? And as far as residents,
they don't help us either.
No. As far as residents are concerned, they face lower travelling costs, more spare time. When I was living in Hallsville during house repairs. It took me 50 minutes to get to work on a bus, 20 minutes to walk to the bus stop, 30 minutes to take the bus. And if I went by car, it's 15 minutes. So you effect a change. But if you live centrally, you don't waste all that time. So more spare time, greater and easier access to the best public facilities, the library, the sports centre, the art gallery, the museum, even the gardens. When I was first married, I actually lived just over the road in Montreal Street, corner of Montreal Street and Hereford Street, and it was wonderful.
I used to live there.
Did you? In West Avon?
Yeah.
Oh, we were neighbours. What year were you there? I loved living there, but then we got pregnant and that was the end of that.
Well, I didn't.
The inner city residents are typically the 2-income no kids, which we were then, and the empty nesters, which we're potentially going to be, get rid of our son in a month or two.
Get rid of.
And the gay
They come back. It's called the returning nest syndrome.
I know. Well, this is what's happened. That's why he's there at the moment. Anyway, but at the moment it looks like a 10-year project. If that could be sped up, that would be very good. And I understand that that's really a government-led part of the blueprint, but maybe the council and the government could work together to effect it more quickly.
It's a good idea.
I'm going to make a suggestion, which I don't unlikely, but we could
a novel idea.
A rate decrease for people who live within the 4 avenues. Now, the rationale for that is that you've got less infrastructure costs. You're retaining ratepayers who would otherwise go out to Selwyn, and you are assisting the modal change. Anyway, I'd just like to finish by saying trying to effect the modal change by making parking unavailable is a recipe for disaster, in our view, and it could significantly damage the vision for the city. On the other hand, inner city living will help us to create a world-class boutique city with a sustainable lifestyle and a healthy, strong economic base that you referred to in your opening remarks. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yanni.
Thank you for your submission. Interesting enough, we've had a number of people say that they'd like us to restore the free yellow shuttle electric bus that used to go around the central city. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. You know, I know obviously it stopped outside Ballantyne, so it was probably be interesting to hear whether that's something you would support or whether you had any views as to its effectiveness.
I haven't actually thought about the yellow bus, but I had wondered if we could make our normal bus services free within the 4 avenues. And that would encourage the long stay parkers to park in facilities that might be provided a little bit further out, and to use a shuttle, use those as the regular shuttle, rather than adding to your costs by having an extra bus service. There are actually some very good bus services. I've had a dream, if you like, of putting a large long stay car park on railway land at the corner of Morehouse Avenue and Colombo Street. And you could then use the 15-minute shuttle plus the other buses that run up and down Colombo Street all the time without putting another bus on.
It's a gobsmackingly good idea.
Thank you.
Yeah, but I mean, you're just highlighting the nuttiness of our
split public transport system.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think it's nutty.
Yes, I think it's nutty too. Phil?
Thanks, Philip. I'm just wondering if you had seen around the parking issue, the last parking report that our council received. I think should have received it at the end of last month. Did you? I was wondering if you saw that, because it's got a lot of specific information in relation to short-term and long-term parking and some clear recommendations.
Yes, I have seen it, and I wasn't comfortable with a lot of the recommendations. In fact, it's under consideration. Colliers are producing their own assessment of.
I just wonder if what I'd say, as I said to the last submitter on this, that it might be useful if yourself and inner city business people have further discussions with the council staff around that.
Yes, and indeed we are, and we appreciate the opportunity to have those discussions with them.
Excellent. Look, thank you very much, Philip. That was great.
Thank you very much.
Given us some food for thought,
Thank you very much.
as is often the way in these processes. Thank you.